Former Hopkinton Fire Chief Ken Clark debuted his new podcast, Hot Topics, on HCAM. Ken explained what the podcast is about.
The primary scope of the Hot Topics podcast is to share fire and EMS experience from both still career working personnel and also from retired career personnel. And also there will be a really good mix of call personnel that will be in to help us as we move forward through the podcast. The podcast will be once a month at the beginning of the month. One thing I want to be upfront with is it's not the intent of this podcast to critique or Monday morning quarterback any calls made by incident commander or IC on any calls here. We're not here to do that, have questions come in or do that at all. This just is to share experiences relative to the fire and EMS service. As a quick background on me, I'm married to my wife, Marie, who was also a teacher, and I have 4 sons, Joe, Sean, Matthew, and Kyle. 2 dogs, one a 4-year-old Shepherd Ziva and a 3-year-old white golden named Luna. My background is 44 years of service with the town of Hopkinton Fire Department, and then I'm just up shy of 50 years with 2 other departments after I retired in January of 2016. I got the phone rang 3 times, and 2 I followed through on them. One was the town of Upton. Went there at the end of 16 from September to end of the year, December. And then in 2019, just as the COVID started, the phone rang and was asked to help the town of Berlin for 2 or 3 months, and it ended up to be just shy of 4 years. So that was an unbelievable experience. A smaller community, but a very energetic, a lot going on in it, and it was different in many operationally, especially the amount of personnel that you could draw on and the way the town was set up with no municipal water was a different ballgame up there.
His first guest was one of his 4 sons and select board member Joe Clark.
Like I had said, recently ran for being a 4th generation in Hopkinton doing this to the community service, ran for the Board of Selectmen. And Joe, could you just tell me some of the surprises that you had in your initiation to the public service type to the town?
Yeah, I think the whole thing turned out to be a surprise in a lot of ways, right? It was uncharted territory for me, right? I haven't had the opportunity to be involved in the town, at any official capacity. And then, of course, getting into something like this, a lot of people consider it, politics. I'm not one of those people. I'm here to speak on this because I truly believed it's, community service, public service. And that's the reason I got involved. I saw some things in town over the last year or 2 that, there was kind of a lack of leadership from our previous select board. And it just didn't instill a lot of confidence in the community. More and more people were complaining about things. So, it got to the point where I found myself complaining about things. And, if I'm complaining, then it's either time to do something or, shut up about it.
Yep.
And so I think the whole thing was kind of eye-opening, right? Especially, the initial onset of, because again, even though I don't consider it politics, you do have to campaign, right? It was, a contested election. I shouldn't say contested, a competitive election. So just going through that process was very interesting. How do we start it? And I think you were obviously a big part of that and how we got the message out through our connections. I would say we really went the grassroots style with the campaigning, which I think fits our family. It fits Hopkinton as well. So I think that whole process was definitely a bit of a surprise.
Be sure to catch Hot Topics airing on HCAM.